Alright folks, so here we are, chapter 11. We only have 2 more chapters after this, so we're almost there. We're almost through with learning all the basics of Python. So, you made it this far, feel good for yourself, feel proud for yourself, because you've already done a lot of the hard stuff. This week we're working with dictionaries and we're working with tuples. So if you haven't read the chapter, you do, again, need to read through the chapter before you do the exercises. It's pretty difficult not to, and many of the exercises are in fact based on the actual chapter examples in some ways. So if you read through the examples in the chapter, you'll often get hints on how to complete these exercises. I will say that the exercises for this week, we only have, as you can see here, 6 of them, but they are a little bit more difficult, a little bit more complex than most of the exercises that we've done so far. So they're especially the first few here, could be pretty tough. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to go in reverse, starting with 6 and working my way back up. Just because that's, I think, going to be easier for us to work through, rather than starting at 1 and working our way back down. So I'm going to start down here at 6, which is, I think, the easiest problem in the set. So it's asking us to go through the Python interpreter and get the response to each of the following from a continuous interpreter session. So if you don't know how to do that, what you need to do is open up Python in Git Bash and run Python through Git Bash and get this information in here accordingly. So let me open up Git Bash. And I'll bring it up here for you guys. There we go. I don't know how visible that's going to be, but we will just kind of let that do its thing in the corner here. Okay, so in Git Bash, we want to start Python, so we can do that by starting Python. There we go. We're now in the Python interpreter. We can tell we're in the Python interpreter because of those 3 right carets, those 3 right arrows. So let's input the same thing here. So we're creating a variable d, and we're setting it equal to, we're assigning it to it, a dictionary that has the following entries: apples, which is set to 15, bananas, which is set to 35, and grapes, which is set to 12. So I enter that in the interpreter, is done, and then I call D, and I call D key of bananas. So I'm going to call the key bananas on, oops, if I can type correctly, on D, and we'll see what that gives us. It gives us 35, which we expect because of bananas 35 in our dictionary definition right here. So that's all good. Then let's enter our next thing. D oranges. Oops. Whoops. Okay, well, that's gonna cause an error. There we go. D oranges equals 20. No problem there. And then if we call length of D, we'll see that D has increased by 1. There are now 4 objects in D. And indeed, if we call up D oranges, we'll see that excuse me, 20 is stored there. All right, and then we will test our third thing here. Grapes in D should return true because we do have grapes in D, so we can use the in operator to test membership for our dictionary. And then if we return D pairs, we get an error. We get a key error. And so if we were running a function, this would stop our function. Our function would have errored out with a key error. So when you call a key on a dictionary that does not exist, you get a key error, and it's gonna cause problems for your program. So we want to make sure we don't do that. Now, if you use dget pairs 0, and again, these functions are described in the chapter. Instead, we get 0. We get 0 because what .get does. .get gets called on a dictionary. So in this case, d.get, and we pass in as arguments to .get the key that we want to search for and the default value we want to get back if the key is not there. So you can use this to check to see whether or not a key is in a dictionary without having to worry about possibly getting that key error. So if you have it set to return an error value here of some sort that you know is going to be only possible if something is wrong, then dget will handle that for you. All right, let's keep on going. Fruits equals d.keys. Keys is a method that returns a list of all the key values in your dictionary. So we can then sort that dictionary or that list of keys. There we go. We sorted it, and then we can print it out, even though it has already printed itself due to sorted. There we go. It is a series of keys: apples, bananas, grapes, and oranges. All right, and then last but not least, let's delete apples from D, and then we will check for membership. Is apples in D? And it is not, because we deleted it. And finally, let's try to print D. So now we see that we have removed apples and we only have bananas, grapes, and oranges left in our list. So that's all good. That's fine. Let me close this out. Enter this again. Okay, so let's go back to the actual problem now. So now that we've gone through all of these and we understand how to add and how to assign and how to check for membership inside of a dictionary, let's try to pass these tests down here with this function set inventory. So we want to create a new inventory. That's fine. That's not part of our function. And then our function set inventory should be able to take that inventory, the fruit, strawberries, and tin, to add it to our inventory. So all we want to do is very simply inventory strawberries, inventory fruit, general versus specific, equals quantity. So inventory fruit equals quantity, and we shouldn't have to return anything. So get our test going. Save our code and run it. Pass, pass, pass. So what our code is doing, what we need to do is take the inventory that we want to put it into, which from this we can see is new inventory, the fruit we want to add, so inventory fruit, and then set it equal to the quantity. Now I don't know if we've seen this before, but this is a useful thing that you can do with your functions. You can make it so where if a user does not provide a value for a argument for your function, you can have it set so where that value, that argument, that variable gets a default value. So this one is saying that if the user does not provide a quantity for set inventory here, we can if the user does not provide a quantity for set inventory here, it will default out and set the quantity to 0. So if we do that and we print new inventory, we see is that our function didn't not work, even though we have the wrong amount of arguments here. It still worked and set the value to 0 rather than erroring out because we passed in the wrong amount of arguments. So that's a way you can set up default arguments. That's either here or there for the point of this problem. All right, we'll cover the next one next time.